Good morning, and thank you all for coming out this morning. Today starts, this week is Wildfire Preparedness Week as well as Arson Awareness Week. Today, I'm not going to introduce everyone behind us. It'll take forever, but Jaime Gamboa, our Forest Chief from the San Bernardino National Forest is here. Glenn Barley, our Unit Chief from San Bernardino CAL FIRE. Shannon Dykus, the Assistant Sheriff with San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. Lieutenant Andrew Thompson with the San Bernardino CHP, as well as our Fire Chief, Mark Hartwig. Also joining us today is John Aziz. He's a director with the Wrightwood Fire Safe Council. And Laura Dyberg, who is the founder and one of the directors of the Inland Empire Fire Safe Alliance. So thank you all for coming out. So it seems that every year California fire agencies claim it could be the worst fire season ever, and I'm sure you're all tired of hearing that. But as much as I wish we could predict when a fire is going to break out, it's just obviously not going to happen. We don't want to keep crying wolf, but let's face it, fire is a reality in California. The world of fire suppression is changing. Our fire seasons are longer and fire behavior often more extreme. This morning's press release is geared towards wildfire readiness and how residents can prepare for a wildfire, and what's projected for this year's fire season. You will also hear from fire investigators, our fire marshal, on the topic of arson and what you can do to help investigators with arson. Our first speaker this morning, Fire Chief and Fire Warden Mark Hartwig.
Thank you, Tracy. Good morning. We kick off Wildfire Awareness Week on the heels of a wet weekend that left us with snow in the local mountains. A lot of people ask, does the rain make it easier or harder for you? And I always answer by saying it just creates a different problem for us. It creates more moist fuels, especially the larger fuels. But what it does is it creates a lot more fine fuels. Annual grasses that you have and see behind us already cured or dried out for the fire season, and even the light fuels that will have a whole summer to continue to dry before the winds, the hot, dry weather comes in the fall with the Santa Ana winds. Behind you, you can see the far south west edge of the pilot scar, and you can see within the burn area how the vegetation, the fine fuels, the light and fine fuels are already growing back. As Tracy said, we don't have a fire season in Southern California anymore. In fact, this last week, we had almost 200 acres burn at a time where we would have expected the rain to have helped us out and given a later start on our fire season. The intensity in which fire burns is really off the charts. Seasoned professionals, much more seasoned than I, professionals that spend their entire career in wildland tell us that they just are not seeing the kind of fire behavior that we saw this last fire season with both the pilot and the Blue Cup fire here behind you that they've seen throughout their entire career, in fact. So what do we do? What can you do? We're preparing. Our wildland crews are out making sure that they're ready for the fire season. Our engine companies. But you can prepare as well. We have our Ready, Set, Go program. That's really meant for you as a homeowner, as a landowner, to clear your property, look at some of the things that you can do with your home to make them fire safe. During the Blue Cup fire, we had some homes that had good clearance that burned. There's other things you can do besides clearance. We talk about how you can cover spaces, attic spaces, under your eaves, pull things away from your home that might lead to a fire when you have these blowing embers that in many cases would blow a half a mile or more during a fire. We also implemented last year already a red flag warning program at your community notification program for your at your fire stations. You'll see a red flag when the Weather Service calls for a red flag warning. You'll see those flying at the fire stations in the county. So if you're ready, because you've done your preparation, then you need to be set. You just need to be really diligent. You're looking for anything during those red flags and those dry, hot days. You're looking for anything suspicious. You're monitoring your radio. You're more mindful of your surroundings. And you're getting set so that if a fire does break out and you're ordered to go, that you actually go. When you don't go, you don't only put yourself at risk, you put firefighters at risk. When you're asked to evacuate, we ask you to go. You can be ready, you're set, you're monitoring your surroundings, and then you go when you're asked to go. Don't become complacent with the recent rain that we've had. As good as the men and women are in our organization at doing what they do, they can't be everywhere. What we found in the Blue Cup fire wasn't just the intensity in which it burned, but the flame front that we had on that fire. Be vigilant and don't be complacent. If you go on to sbcfire.org, you'll see the Ready, Set, Go pamphlet. It's a program endorsed by all fire agencies in the state of California. I ask you to go there and figure out how you can be fire safe this coming year. I wanted to end by talking about some volunteer programs and then really the benefit of the relationships that we have here in San Bernardino County. You can get involved in your community as a way to make it more safe. One of the ways you can do that is to join your local fire safe council. And we introduced John and Laura here this morning. They coordinate efforts on the mountaintop in the San Bernardinos and then over here in the San Gabriels in the Wrightwood area. Find out how you can promote fire safety and volunteer in your communities. We have community cleanup days, pine needle clearance events, and many other activities, chipping opportunities in your communities to keep your communities fire safe. You can also get involved through one of our volunteer programs at County Fire, Community Emergency Response Team, the recently launched Fire Corps program that really does help citizens who want to help act as fire patrols in their local communities on high fire hazard days. We expect you as the community to help us as we are wherever we can with all the resources that we have. We expect you to be prepared, again, to monitor and then to go when asked to go. We talked about partnerships. I mentioned partnerships a little bit earlier. With our partnership, our local partnerships with local fire agencies, as well as our partnership with the Sheriff's Department for both our inmate hand crew and our the Sheriff's Helicopter program that assists fire agencies on fires within the county. We also have our Forest Service partners, as Tracy introduced, Chief Gamboa, and the efforts of the men and women of the Forest Service in this county. We also have our CAL FIRE partners on the state responsibility areas and the work that they do. I'm going to introduce next San Bernardino Unit Chief Glenn Barley from CAL FIRE. Chief Barley.
Well, good morning. Thank you, Chief Hartwig. Hopefully we can get through this without too many cars going by here. But I wanted to just address a little bit about the statewide outlook for fire for this coming year, and then talk about some other applications and things that we have. So obviously this year has been characterized by abundant moisture. I think that's fair to say. And that it's good. We're glad to see that, and that's going to certainly help the state with its water situation. But the reality is that in the state of California, it's a state that burns on a regular basis, regardless of how much moisture or how little moisture we have. And I'll tell you, coming out of 5 years of drought, the vegetation community that's out there that is going to burn in a wildland fire is still ready to burn. The grasses that you see behind us are growing. Those are some of the most significant, fast-moving wildfires that we see. They certainly are dangerous both to our firefighters as well as to our communities, and can result in significant damage. In the brush communities, it's going to take those couple of years for them to fully recover their vigor, and the dead material that's developed over the last 5 years of drought is going to be out there for a number of years to come and will be present in this season and in seasons to come. In the Central Sierra, we certainly have a great deal of mortality, over 100 million dead trees up in the Central and Southern Sierra. Those trees and those tree communities are going to take a number of years before they fully recover. And those dead trees will be out there for decades, literally decades to come, and fuels that will fuel wildfire for many years to come. So there's the moisture has been good, but it certainly hasn't gotten us out of the woods in terms of the fire danger in a state that really is set to burn. So what can we do? As Chief Hartwig said, being prepared is a significant thing. And CAL FIRE is proud to announce that we have a new application that can help landowners with that process. The application can be found on both the App Store and the Google Play Store, but it has a number of checklists that help landowners do the appropriate fuel reduction work around their property. They can work their way through those checklists and make sure that they're ready to go for this year. It also has checklists for evacuation to make sure that they have all the things that they need before they leave the house, their pets, their medications, important paperwork, financial documents, all of those things. And I will underscore what Chief Hartwig said about evacuations. We're seeing a growing trend where homeowners, when asked to evacuate by the sheriff and the other law enforcement agencies, are not leaving. And it's a real danger to them and to our firefighters, who will sometimes have to go back in and help them get out when the fire is really pressing down on their home. So we certainly encourage landowners to go when the opportunity is there, even if there doesn't seem to be an apparent risk at the time they're asked to evacuate. So we have the application that's out there, and the other thing that the application can do is provide alerts for wildfire in your area. And you can set it up to provide alerts for your area, or if you travel through a variety of areas, you can set it up to hit all of those areas, and it will alert you when there's a wildfire in any of those areas. So landowners can be prepared, and then the next thing really is for the agencies to be prepared. And I can tell you that certainly CAL FIRE is prepared. You know, we have the largest aerial firefighting force in the world, and they are ready to go. They recently won an award from the FAA for their maintenance program and the safety that implies. But also our engines statewide, 343 of them statewide are ready to go, as well as our 196 crews are ready to go as well. Locally, we just finished our fire preparedness exercise last week, ensuring our local forces are ready to go. But I'll tell you, no agency can do it by themselves, and that's why you see all of the agencies that are here today represented. When the fire starts, we all come together, we all bring our resources to the table and make sure that we're watching out for the protection of the public. So again, just recapping a little bit here, the state of California at any given year, and this year certainly is the case as well, on the right day, in the right conditions, in the right location, we can have a significant damaging fire. And we encourage landowners to be prepared for that, just as the agencies that are behind me here today, as well as CAL FIRE, we are prepared for the coming season. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Barley. Next, we have Fire Marshal Mike Horton from San Bernardino County Fire.
Thank you, Tracy. Good morning, everybody. I'm Mike Horton, a Fire Marshal for San Bernardino County Fire Department. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about Arson Awareness Week and what we can do collectively to prevent arson in all of our jurisdictions. Nationally, there are thousands of fires that are arson suspected, which creates billions of dollars worth of damage. Those compiled on top of commercial and residential fires compound our problem extremely with the same type of values, another $3 billion. Every year, arson fires claim lives, property, infrastructure, and they put our fire and law enforcement officers at risk with every alarm, with every response. There's no way that we as the agencies can deal with the arson problem here in San Bernardino County without your assistance. And what we ask you to do is to stay vigilant, and when you see something, say something. Some recent statistics from County Fire include we've responded to over 465 suspected fires. Out of those, 40% were determined to be incendiary, and 25% of those were determined to be arson. Over the last year, we've made 9 arrests, and we've had a 33% conviction rate on arsonists in our county. That's not to include the efforts of CAL FIRE and the U.S. Forest Service on recent fires such as the Blue Cut, which is still under investigation. All of the fire agencies you see here today combined work in cooperation with the Arson Task Force developed in the county, and we all work very diligently and collectively to put arsonists where they belong, and that's behind bars. Let's all work together to stop these fires before they start. Another thing you can help us do is if you see something, say something. You can call our agency you see here today and talk and report suspicious activity, or you can go to WeTip at the 1-800-47-ARSON hotline and report suspicious activity. To learn more about WeTip, you can go to their website at WeTip or www.wetip.com, or for County Fire at www.sbcfire.org. And remember, if you see something, say something. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Horton. And our final speaker will be John Aziz with the Wrightwood Fire Safe Council.
Thank you, Tracy. As Chief Barley had said, the agencies are doing what they can do to be able to prepare for wildfire season. The Fire Safe Council allows homeowners, landowners to be able to create those defensible spaces that are so important for the agencies that are protecting those properties. The Wrightwood Fire Safe Council has a program, green waste program, that over the years, we've actually recycled over 3 million pounds of green waste material, and that program is continuing again this year. We'd like to urge everyone to be able to make sure those defensible spaces are properly taken care of, as agencies can only do so much. Thank you.
I want to take a moment to thank all of the fire safe councils that are here today and all of our volunteers. If you're a volunteer, can you raise your hand, please? These are just a few of the people that help keep our community safe, and there were countless tireless hours to do just that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a demonstration from the Old Cajon crew. There's 11 guys that are here today. They're going to give you a demonstration of their skills and the tools that we use to fight wildland fires. And they are being led by Captain Matt Topoleski. Thank you for coming.
Signal.
Get closer.
Yeah.